Alright, so we now have our service fetching data from GitHub. You can see we're console logging it in the profile component. Now what we want to do is bring it into our application. Now we're going to be using Bootstrap, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get the CDN for it. So I want to copy this link to the CSS file, and then we'll go into index.html and just put that right above the styles CSS reference. Okay, and then href is going to be, I'm going to paste that in and save it. Now you'll notice we have a style CSS file in here already, and it has some stuff in it. I'm going to go ahead and just delete all of that and save it. Alright, so if we look at our application now, you can tell that Bootstrap is implemented by the font and the spacing. So what I want to do now is go back to, let's see, our app component TS. And instead of having everything inside of this file, what I'm going to do is just add template URL. And let's go ahead and replace that with app.component.html. And we just need to add the module ID up here, module.id, and then we'll create that file. And let's put the profile component Okay, so now you can see that it's being brought in. Now I'm going to add a navbar here. So let's go to getbootstrap.com, go to get started, and then examples, and then the starter template. And if we do Control U, we can look at the source code, and we're going to go ahead and grab the navbar and copy that. And let's see, we're going to paste that up at the top here. And I'm going to change a couple things. The project name, let's change that to GitHub Search. And I'm going to get rid of the navbar fixed top class. And let's change this class from navbar inverse to navbar default. Alright, and then I'm going to get rid of the li tags here as well. This is a single page application, so we don't need those links. Alright. And then around the profile here, I'm going to put a couple div tags. So we want to put a container, which will just kind of move everything into the center. Alright, and then we want a row class. That way we can use the grid system. Alright, and then let's do another div for the columns. Alright, now I want this to be 8 columns wide, so we're going to say col md 8, and then I want to offset it 2 because it's going to be 8 wide, but I want it to be in the center, so we need to move it over a little. So we can say col md offset 2. Alright, so let's save that, and we're not going to see much. You can see we now have the nav bar, and this is now moved over into the middle. Alright, let's make this a little wider, and you can see when we get to that, when we make it wider, it moves in more. Alright, so now what I want to do is go into profile component. Actually, yeah. So instead of just console logging user, what I'm going to do is I'll comment that out. And we're going to have a user property. So right here, we'll say user, that's going to be an array. And then down here, we'll say this dot user is equal to user, which is the data that's coming in from the API. And then let's go to profile component HTML, and we'll replace this with double curly braces, and let's say user.name. Save that, and now you can see we're getting the user's name. Alright, so what we'll do is, let's get rid of that. We're going to use some Bootstrap classes to try and make this look fairly nice. So we want to check to make sure that there's a user available before we try loading anything. So in our div right here, we're going to say asterisk ngIf and set that equal to user. And we're just going to wrap that around everything. Okay, and then I want to use Bootstrap panels, so let's go to Get Bootstrap and go to, I think it's Components, and then over here, and I want the panel with heading, so let's grab this, copy that. Okay, just indent this a little bit. Alright, so in the title here, let's put the username. So user.name. And then in the content, let's put a row class. Alright, and in here, let's put a 4-column div. So call MD4. Alright, and let's see, let's also put an 8-column div. So what I want to do is put the avatar in here. So we'll say image, source, and let's see, let's also give it a class. So we'll give it a class of profile image and also image thumbnail, which is a Bootstrap class. And then for the source, we can use user.html underscore URL. I'm sorry, avatar URL. Alright, and then right under the image, we're going to have a link to go to the profile. Alright, so let's put a, and we're going to give this a class of btn primary. Actually, we'll do btn default. And then also btn block, so it goes across the whole element. And let's see, for the href, we're going to put in user.html underscore URL. And let's make sure that goes in a new window. So we'll say target equals underscore blank. Alright, and then the text will just say view profile. Alright, so let's look at that so far. We'll save that. And there we go. So we have the user's image, view profile, click that, brings us to the GitHub profile. Alright, so on this side we want to have some profile data. So let's put, I'm going to put a div here. Let's give it a class of stats. And this is where I want to have things like the number of followers that the user has, the number of gists, things like that. So let's put a span. We're going to use Bootstrap labels here. So give it a class of label, and let's say label primary, which will make it blue. And then in here we want to put our curly braces, and we're going to say user dot public underscore repos, and let's just put some text right after it that says public repos. Alright, let's save that, and you can see we get 28 public repos. Now what I'm going to do is copy this whole span, and let's paste it 3 more times. Okay, the next one is going to be the public gists. And we want to make this a different color. So let's say instead of primary right here, we'll say success, which will make it green. And then the one below it, let's say info, which I believe is yellow. And this is going to be the user's followers. And then let's do following. And we'll change this to warning. I'm sorry, warning is yellow, info is blue. Okay, let's save that. And there we go. Oh, you know what? We need to change this right here to 8 so that it goes across the whole thing. There we go. Alright, now under that, we're going to have a UL. Alright, so let's go under the stats div and put in UL. We're going to give it a bootstrap class of list group. Okay, and then inside there we'll have li, and these will have a class of list group item. And let's see, let's do the username. Okay, we have the user's full name here, but we want the username as well. So let's see, I'm going to put strong tags around the title here. And then we'll put the dynamic value. So this will be user.username. Alright, and then let's copy that li. And paste it a couple more times. And you know what? This isn't username, it's going to be user.login. Alright, and then let's do the location. So that'll be user.location. And let's do the email. So that'll be user.email. And let's do, there's a blog link. So that's going to be user.blog. And then let's do member since. And that's going to be user.created_at. Okay, let's save it. And there we go. We get all our profile information there. Let's put a line break after that stats. Alright. So that's going to do it for profile information. In the next video, we're going to make it so that we can list the user's repositories underneath.